I am 6 chapters into A Botanical Daughter by Noah Medlock, and I am already completely blown away by how beautifully this story is being unfurled. First of all, for those of you who don't know, this is a Frankenstein-inspired, Frank-inspired? You know what, I like that, I'm keeping it. Frank-inspired story about 2 men who live, work, sleep, and eat together in a converted botanical garden. Now, this takes place in the 19th century, so they are confirmed bachelors, to use the proper parlance. Read between the lines, the story certainly does.
He was my boyfriend!
In the story, Simon is a professional taxidermist, and Gregor is a botanist who early on receives a very strange shipment through Amazon Prime, a mycelium fungus that appears to show signs of sentience, even consciousness. And it is not long after that Gregor and Simon, between the two of them, decide that it might be possible to connect the specimen to a host, which would essentially make it a living being. The best possible host being a recently deceased body. I think you can see the Frankenstein connection. This book takes off at a sprint from page 1, but honestly, you wouldn't think so, because of how well Medlock sets the scene and how intricately he draws everything from the characters, their various dynamics with each other, the setup of how they've all come to be where they are, to how perfectly he lays down the various plot points necessary to rocket us into story mode once it's time. I have to say my favorite aspect of this book is the style of language that Medlock writes in. This book at times truly feels like it was ripped right out of the 19th century for how deliciously descriptive everything is. There is not a single throwaway sentence in this entire book, not only because every sentence is necessary and important to conveying information, but because Medlock's prose is so lush and illustrative and just feels good to read. And that is why I love 19th century fiction so much, why I love Gothic fiction from that time period so much, because writers from this era didn't treat words as mere engines of information or exposition. They made it so half the joy of reading their work was getting lost in the language. They would use wordplay, they'd over-describe, they'd break the fourth wall and talk directly to the audience.
Quiet dignity and grace.
Or just have their characters speak in such a poetic fashion that every line had you wanting to stop and jot it down in your notes. I refer you to Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray, where if you wrote down every memorable line in a quote of the day journal, it would be full by the time you reach the end of the first chapter. This book, while not Oscar Wilde, nothing is, has that same charm, that same wonderful power of description, and I am absolutely in love with it for that. I truly want more books of this time to be written like this, where the author is so clearly in love with the written word to where their language is as much of a character as their main protagonists. This is a fantastic read so far. Like I said, it just throws you right into the thick of this story, but it is so descriptive and Medlock lays the foundation so well that it feels like I am 200 pages in, not 70. I absolutely love this book and I cannot wait to do a full review of it once I'm finished.